Okay, guys, let's have it. We're going Christmas tag. We all know how Shatona keeps doing this. Shatona says, oh, let's do a tag. That sounds fun. And then Shatona creates tag before she thinks about the fact that, there's probably one out there. Today, Shatona got sick and tired of talking about herself in third person. Anyway, today I was like, maybe I should do like a 12 days of Christmas. And I was like, no, someone has to have done this. So I go looking for book tags, Christmas book tags, and I found this one. It's Christmas carols. Wasn't the 12 days of Christmas. Hi there. I know. Don't you dare. Don't you lick me. No licking of the me's. Okay, go lay down. So I did the questions and found the books and did all the bookness and everything. This is created by Heather at Reading with a Vengeance, which I love her name, but I have to say when I first read it, it came off as something about reading in Haven, and I couldn't figure out where it was going, and I had to like find out where the breaks were and actually read it, instead of trying to, yeah, it was funny. I was like, okay. So I've never heard of Heather before. I'm going to have to check her out because who knows about the Heatherness and the Heathernosity and all the stuff. So we have Christmas carols. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the Christmas Carol book tag. And I went and I got what books I could. I couldn't get a physical copy of everything. Some I don't own. Some I just remembered. Some. Because some, right? We're going to hit this off, and I'm going to try to go as fast as possible. Don't laugh. I'm going to try. I really am. Because there's not that many. I don't remember how many there are, but there are not that many. I should be able to do this semi-quickishly. So we're going to try this. Here we go. Question number 1, red, gold, and green colors on the cover. So it needs those. And I was shocked at how hard it was to find. I mean, I could have done this one, but I've already shared this, so I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That one over there is gold and green, but there's no red that I can see. I should really look closer. Yeah, no red, so that doesn't count. And I found a lot of red and gold, but no green. It was hard, but then, see, I've got these all mixed up. This is going to get fun. Murder in the Bookshop by Carolyn Wells. There is green, there is red, and a detective story is in gold. That was really pushing it. And I know nothing about this, but I have, okay, so here's the deal. I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm not going to tell you because that's for the book haul. All I'm going to say, it's a detective mystery. It was written in that helps to have your glasses on your head if you're going to pull them off your head. But let's see what year this was first published. 1929. And there's a lot of, whatever. But no, I'm not. Let me see. It's a bookshop, a murder in a bookshop in a New York bookstore. Okay. And that's all I'm telling you. That's just all I'm going to tell you. So, but this is, I had to go with whatever I could find. And this is what I could found. Yeah, no, this is what I found. And, yeah, red, green, gold. That was pretty simple. Next, what is your favorite Christmas carol? Okay, here, guys, this one's hard. You would think you have a favorite, don't you? Well, I have several favorites. Like, I like to sing We Three Kings. I love singing the harmony on that one. It's just really fun and, whatever. I love the words to God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. And the problem is I found there is a Gentleman Jim by Mimi Matthews that I've wanted to read, but it's gentleman, not men. And I was being really picky, so I was like, forget that. And then there was What Child Is This? I also like to sing that one, and I like the words in that one, so that's kind of a double whammy there. And so I was like, okay, let's go with that one. The First Noel is one I like to sing. And I almost said, oh, forget this, and went with my own book that has Noel in the title because I was getting desperate. I actually have two that have Noel in the title. I have the second Noel, and then I have The Heart of Noel, which they don't get upset in December if people pronounce Noel. So I was like, I could do that, but I feel like that was cheating because this is not, I mean, I could redo this with just my books, but I didn't, it's like, no. So I skipped that and I went looking and I remembered that, okay, so way back when, once upon a time in the Alps or whatever, no. So back in the 90s or really, I don't think it could have been the early 2000s. I think it had to be the 90s because by 2000, Ethan was born and my friend Ricky had moved. But Linda Chaikin had a 5-book series, and they were Monday's Child, Tuesday's Child, Wednesday's Child, Thursday's Child, Friday, right? And all I remembered was reading them and that I liked them, but I didn't know, did I love them or did I just kind of like them? I mean, did I like them all? I couldn't remember. So I went looking, and I've got my laptop pages open, and guys, I have forgotten how cool this series is. Okay, so it's called A Day to Remember series, and it's got 5 books. Now, the first book is the only one I'm going to tell you about because it reminded me of how much I did like it. So, and now I feel like I got to go buy this series again and reread it. Oh my goodness. So it says, so for Krista von Buren, a beautiful model whose fair face and form have opened doors all over Europe, life seems perfect. Then Jordan Lucas appears. Jordan is working with an investigative journalist to uncover an international banking scandal dating back to Hitler's Germany. When he tells Krista that the heirloom ring she wears did not come from her German grandmother as she thought, but from his aunt who died in a concentration camp, Krista is stunned. Could her grandfather and father, both Swiss bankers, possibly have been involved in such a thing? And then it goes into a search for the truth. She comes to learn that her true source of happiness lies not in her fair face, but in her faith in God. And I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to, not going to go on for more. So there's 5 books with child in the title in that series, but there's also I found 2 others while I was looking for that. Melody Carlson has a book in a series called Second Chances. It's a 6-book series, and book number 4 is Thursday's Child, which is kind of funny because if you start the week on Monday instead of on Sunday, that's the 4th day. So I thought that was kind of funny. This one says, Emma has always been the practical one in the family, but that's about to change as she embarks on the adventure of her life. Thursday Child has far to go, right? Emma Davis wants a new life now that she no longer needs to care for her grandmother. A spur-of-the-moment visit to a travel agency sets her on a journey far from her Iowa home. Emma takes a cruise to the far islands of the Pacific, but it isn't until she arrives in Papua New Guinea that she begins to realize her true calling. Emma regains her sense of purpose by caring for 3 motherless children. 3 motherless children. For 3 motherless children and befriending. See what my brain does? It combines those words. Their father, Josh Daniels. Josh's troubled past and the loss of his wife have left him vulnerable. It had a previous title of The Awakening Heart. Now it's Thursday's Child. Just throwing that out. But then I also found, oh my gravy. So this was published back in 2011. And it's called Nobody's Child by Austin Boyd. Amazon has 4.3 ratings. Goodreads only has 3.8, which isn't great. It isn't bad. It's just kind of in between. The paperback is on sale right now for $8.62, so I'm really tempted to get it. This is, I really, 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 I wish I could avoid this, but I can't. Okay, so Austin Boyd's vivid writing plunges you into Appalachia with such descriptive realism that you taste the perfume of summer clover and melt into the tender heart of a young woman who would sacrifice anything for daddy. Hearkening to the myth of Pandora's box, Nobody's Child sweeps you into a world where unprecedented choices never intended by heaven lead to unintended consequences never before seen on earth. Meet Laura Ann McGee, determined to honor her father's dying request. The young Virginia woman will do whatever it takes to save the family farm, including using the one remaining financial resource she has, her body. Sophia McQuiston, thanks to the unusual sacrifice of a woman she has never met, she carries the child. This is a nightmare of mixed pronouns. So one gal carries another gal's child that she couldn't conceive. Ian Stewart, in Laura's time of need, he's more than just a close friend. He's a source of grace, a man who loves Laura Ann through her many trials. When unusual circumstances place Sophia's baby in Laura Ann's care, Laura Ann is now the virgin mother of her own biological son. The media call him nobody's child. But this is where it got me. Up till that, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But someone wants him badly enough to steal him. Weaving together bioethics and faith, nobody's child dramatizes a future that is already upon us with consequences we can no longer avoid. And I'm like, oh, this could be really good. I mean, it could be kind of hokey. It depends on how it's done. But I'm going to go read the reviews. And if the reviews say things that I go, yeah, this isn't going to be for me, then I'll skip it. But most likely somebody will have this 1-star review that totally ticks me off, and then I'll buy it just because 1-star reviews that are ridiculous tick me off, and I get rebellious and I buy the book. So that was number 2, carol singing. Number 3, Christmas trees, wreaths, and evergreen foliage. So this one is a book that features nature as a character. Anything by Gene Stratton Porter, nature is a character. Absolutely. Actually, Ashley Michaela Ohm probably fits too. But I went with Gene Stratton Porter as an author, particularly the books Freckles and The Harvester. I only grabbed one of them because it's really hard to try to get to anything in that room. But I did manage to grab a few books. I couldn't get everyone I wanted, but at least I started here. So we have Freckles. And Freckles takes place in the Limberlost. He is there to protect some old growth, very valuable trees that they want to cut down and use to make furniture. He's it's kind of ridiculous. Okay, I'm just going to be really honest. He's a one-armed. His arm has been cut off at some point in his life. As a baby, he knows, but he doesn't know how far back. But he has one arm, and he is a little scrappy little thing, and they don't think he can do it. He's terrified, absolutely terrified of the forest. But he is determined to, earn his bread. And, he's like this little Irishman, except that he's never lived in Ireland, but he has himself a strong Irish brogue, and you're like, wait, what? But that's okay. I don't care. I love this. Not everybody loves this book the way I do. I love the story. I think it's just beautiful watching this young man come into his own and learn to accept himself. And there's some really ridiculous notions that the quality of the clothing he was found in shows that he was really wanted or not. I'm like, come on, that doesn't make sense. It's not quite up to par in the logic, and there's definitely a little bias towards some old thinking, but the story I think is beautiful and I love it. So, but The Harvester, if this bothers you, that's not really in The Harvester, and The Harvester is just as beautiful, talking about herbs and using them to heal. So there's that. All right. Now, sending cards. A favorite epistolary book you read this year or want to read next year. So, Before We Cry by Terry Todd. This is epistle or semi-epistolary. I don't think it's completely epistolary. But yeah, it's semi-epistolary. But I'm so excited about this. It says, Nina's one task is to keep her family together while a world war threatens to rip them apart. Warned they mustn't cry, British teenager Nina Gabriel and her 2 young siblings board a ship bound for Canada as part of the World War II child evacuee program in 1940. Nina's mischievous brother and seasick sister test her limits on the long voyage, but her burden of responsibility grows still heavier in Canada. Determined to fulfill her promise to her parents, Nina battles to keep the siblings together through what they all hoped would be no more than one school term. Months turn into years, unfamiliar Canadian customs, a foster sister who resents them, the mysterious deaths of their hosts' families' other children, and the birth of a new brother back in England complicate Nina's world. It doesn't help when David, the boy she's grown to love, enlists in the Air Force with no end to the war in sight. And I'm going to stop there. I saw a little bit of what's coming next, and I don't want to read it. So the letters are, mostly her back home, if I recall correctly. So that's my epistolary that I want to read next year. Whew. Yes. Okay. Then here we go. I'm going to upset some people. Maybe. I don't know. There will be a few unpopular opinions in here. So here we have Mistletoe, a book that features unrequited love. And again, it's not a very popular opinion, but okay. The Scent of Water. In The Scent of Water by Elizabeth Googe, this young woman, she's not really young, but this woman moves back to the home that she visited just once so she inherits the father's cousin's house and she moves in, and part of the story, and this is where the unrequited love comes in, part of the story features the fact that she falls in love with this man. It's not like it's a huge part of the story, but she does fall in love with a man who is married, and she keeps it to herself, and she works through that by herself with the Lord, and he never knows, and the wife never knows, and she manages to be friendly and deal with her issues by herself. And I just love that Googe, she gets into some stuff that you feel like you want to say that's not right, because it's not. But she says, yeah, it's not right, but this is what people do. So let's look at how it should play out, or what happens if it doesn't play out how it should. She could have shown what would happen if this gal had gone after this husband that isn't hers to go after. But she didn't. She chose to show in this one. She has shown the results of doing something stupid in other books, in the Eliot trilogy in particular. But in this one, she shows how someone might have this happen, just grow to admire and then love someone that she has no right to admire and love, and then keep that to herself between her and the Lord and work through that. And I loved that she did it. I know some people are offended by it and they don't like the book. I get it. I totally understand. I just really liked seeing what she did. So I went with Unrequited Love. Definitely that one. Next up is, Santa Claus, a book that features a character who's odd and or a little frightening, but endearing anyway. Okay, I brought both of by Holly Varney on Moonberry Lake. Actually, I have a few here. So I have these because she has characters in here. In this one, oh, what is his name? There is a man who is a little older and he's really difficult to deal with, and he needs a housekeeper. He needs someone. I don't think he goes outside at all. If he does, I don't know. But he needs someone to help him, and she goes to work with it. And at first, he's just like this curmudgeonly kind of thing, but you grow to love him. There's Widgie, who speaks her mind and says what she says, and she's a little abrasive and everything, but she's also so endearing. And then, you see some of those in here again, but you also see different characters in here. And, I don't know, this series is full of quirky, sometimes unlovable characters that you can't help but kind of love anyway. So I went with those, but also, and I think I brought the wrong book, and I'm not going back to get the right one. But, yeah, this is the second book. The Unlikely Yarn of the Dragon Lady. In that one, you have this woman who likes things to be done the way they've always been done, and keep it going and keep it proper, and, keep the world in its place and keep their church in its place, and neither the twain should meet. And then they're kicked out of their prayer room at their prayer chapel at the church while it's being renovated. and sent to the mall to go out and pray for the world, basically, while they're, knitting their prayer shawls, right? And she's just resistant the whole way, and she's awful sometimes. But there is just, you learn to love her. So while this really isn't the right one, that is The Unlikely Yarn of the Dragon Lady by Sharon Mondragon. So I thought it was funny, Mondragon and Dragon Lady, and I was like, see what you did there. No, but yeah, it was really cute. I have a caveat on that one. I gave it 5 stars. I think I gave it 5 stars. I loved that book, all except this very end moment where she thinks God is speaking directly to her outside of just straight up scripture. And I struggle with that. I just sucked it up and moved along because the rest of the story was so good. It violates my conscience. I would never say God told me anything that I couldn't show in his word in some way, shape, or form. I can say I feel like God wants me and I'm fine. But to say that I heard God tell me this in my head or audibly or anything, I can't do it. I just can't do it. But so there is that little moment. And I think there was a similar moment in that book too, where it was like, why? But okay, whatever. It's between you and God. And I'm willing to be wrong, but my conscience says I can't do that. So just putting it out there in case it bothers somebody else even more than it bothers me. Okay, then we have, I don't own these anymore. I gave them away because somebody wanted them. And I need to repurchase them. I need to go back on eBay and find them all again. But the thing is Nativity Scenes, which I don't see how this fits the prompt. But Nativity Scenes, it says, a family-based, historical fiction. I don't see how that, I mean, Nativity was back in history and there's a little family. Seems like a stretch to me, but that's okay. Because a family-based historical fiction, that, I'm like, right up my alley. So, the Journals of Corey Bell Hollister by Michael Phillips, and in some of them, not all of them, Judith Pella wrote part of it. And then they split up. She took over the Russians and he took over Corey Bell Hollister and kind of finished them out that way. And that's fine. But that series was such a great series. I love it. It's almost like the Corey Bell Hollister books are almost like the American Wests and Shirley kind of a bit with Christian fiction. They're not as naturally lyrically immersive, but the characterization has that same appeal. I really loved who Corey Bell is, and I love what Michael Phillips did with the series, and how all that stuff worked out. It's a long series, 12 books. I mean, there's a lot of books in that series. I don't remember how many. There's a lot of books in that series. So for what it's worth, I went with that. And then Elf on a Shelf, a book on your shelf that catches your eye all the time, but you never pick it up. Okay, here's the deal. I can't find the book, but I can find the next one after it in a series. This one is Best Laid Plans by F.E. Green is the second one. It's something, Love Across London. This is a time slip where they're actually going into another era in time series. I loved the first one, The Never List. Absolutely loved it. And then there's Best Laid Plans that I can't find. I'm like, I know I had it on a TBR once, and I think maybe I took it in the library room, and now I can't get to it. Maybe I didn't mean to, but maybe I took it in there, because I don't know. But in this one, she has a bookstore, and a guy from the past manages to get in there. It feels a little bit like Kate and Leopold. It's kind of got that vibe where he shows up in and he's like knocking on this. Usually, what's going on? And so there's just this whole back and forth thing. They have to solve some stuff, and it was really good. And I really want this, and I love it so much that I'm tempted to put this on my 55 for 55 to make me read it. But then I have to find extra books because I don't think I'm going to want to give them up. But if that's what it takes to force me to read it, maybe I should. I don't know. So I'm going with The Best Laid Plans by F.E. Green for that one. And then also on one that I keep not reading, even though I see it and I go, oh, I want to read that. And my mom really liked the series, The Waterkeeper and its subsequents. But I mean, this deals with human trafficking and all kinds of, and a guy who's like a recluse and all kinds of stuff. Sounds amazing. And I haven't read it. And I have it on the shelf. I haven't even taken it in the other room yet. I know I'm going to love this series. So why haven't I read it? Ooh, I should send this home with my friend Teresa. I think I'm going to do that. See if she likes it. Maybe that'll like spur me on to read it. So anyway, I had to throw that in there because reasons. Okay. Next up is a Christmas movie, and you know, a book that you want to see turned into a movie. Well, I just did that, and I was like, So I thought about it for a bit. I tried to find other ones. There were lots, and then I was like, you know what? No, this is the one where I'm bringing my book in. So here's the deal. Cannot believe I'm saying this. I want to see Morse Code as a movie. I think it would be a hysterical Christmas movie. It would be terrible because this kid is a brat, but I think it'd be hilarious, and it would have that lesson that you need, that, you know, being greedy hurts others as much as it hurts yourself, and sometimes little kids don't get that it hurts them too. So I mean, it would have a lesson, but it would be hilarious. I mean, I'm sorry, but Santa wearing Ken's dinner suit, in my book, Santa takes on the persona of what he wears. So when he wears G.I. Joe fatigues, he becomes a drill sergeant, and he is awful. When Andy gets desperate and steals a Ken outfit from his cousin and puts this dinner jacket and slacks on, you know, for Santa. Santa puts that on. He's reclining in the hamster cage. He's just, I actually have a picture of it. He's reclining in the hamster cage, just kicked back, relaxed, smoking a cigarette that Andy had to create for him. And when he's like, you're a bad example, you're not supposed to be doing this. And he's like, you know, going after Santa. And Santa's like, frankly, my son, I don't give a puff. And I was like, I want that. I want to see that on the screen. So yeah, if I was going to have a book turned into a movie, I'm going to go with mine this time and say that one. I think it would be hilarious, but what do I know? All right. Next up, Ugly Sweater. We're going to go with these. I have two of them. It is a book that made you laugh out loud. And again, I'm kind of like, Ugly Sweater, book that made you laugh out loud. I mean, what about a book that was a great, awesome book, but it has a hideous cover? I mean, right? But no. A book that makes you laugh out loud. So I have two of them here. This one represents the whole series. Is Angela Ruth Strong. She's hilarious, guys. She's so funny. And this is the second book in the series. I couldn't find my first. I don't know where it is. Whatever. And the third one just came out. The first one is Husband Auditions, and it's, you know, she finds this article about ways to catch a husband from the 50s, and like goes and does them all and has someone document. It's really hilarious, really funny. But there's a character in there, Gemma, who totally cracked me up. I was dying. It was so funny, and it was so great. And this is her story, and again, cracked me up. But the best thing about these two, well, not necessarily these two, it's probably book 3 too. That one is the Fiancé Finale, which is the last book, right? But the best thing about them is there's depth to her books. She has a lot of depth and a lot of layers, and it's not just cracking up all the way through. You actually get some like infusions of faith and everything. So definitely Angela Ruth Strong. But also this year I read Love Overboard by Shannon Sue Dunlap. And this one, if Mrs. Polifax decided to move onto a cruise ship and play matchmaker, that would be this book. She's got herself a group of friends. They all live on cruise ships for their retirement homes. So they got their medical, they got their meals made, they got their rooms, they get to see the world, and all for less than it would cost them to live in a retirement home. So off they go. But their job, they've decided, is to match up the passengers, and in this case, the crew. I don't think they're supposed to do the crew if I recall correctly, but they do anyway. But there's also a mystery in here, and I don't know, I just had a blast with it. But here's the deal. Not only is this like Mrs. Halifax on a cruise ship as a matchmaker, her name's Emily. I'm just saying. Just putting it down. Stepping back. It was great. Okay. Then Eggnog. And Eggnog is a book that you love that everyone seems to hate, or vice versa. Well, I'm gonna go with vice versa. And since I'm in the mood to make enemies this week, I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah, Redeeming Love, and I think everything I've read by Francine Rivers isn't for me. Everybody loves it, and I'm so glad they do, but I don't. They're too sensual for me, and they I don't enjoy the writing. And that's not for me to be sitting there going, I'm better than she is, or she's not good at all, or whatever. I'm not going that route. I'm just saying it's not for me. And I'm glad that she has blessed people and made people turn to, study the word, all the things. My books probably aren't for her, but she is definitely not for me, to the point that I'm done. I've tried, and I finally, she is a permanent DNF for me. I don't, she is, her books are the Gone with the Wind of Christian fiction for me. They're just like, yeah, I just don't enjoy them. So that's my eggnog. Except that I like eggnog, so I should have done the like side. And if I didn't like eggnog, I should have done that. But it was the first thing that I came up with, and I'm like, I'm going with it. Let's just get this out there. I think I mentioned it before, but it's been a while, so yeah, don't hate me or hate me. Either way, no. So, okay, finally, last one, Exchanging Gifts. And this is a book you read this year and thought this would be perfect for insert person here. It's over there, and I am too lazy to get up and get it. But I just talked about it. It is the Brothers Karamazov, and I love this book so much. And as I was reading it, I was telling my mom, I think you'll like this book. I think you need to read this book. This is a good book, So that was the first thing I thought of, was that Mom would like it. And I think my daughter Shalise is really going to love it. And I to be honest, I'm trying to think of who would I know that absolutely wouldn't like it. And the only people I can think of are people who just don't like long books. I can't think of someone who just wouldn't, and even my husband would enjoy it. So, I mean, it's just an amazing book that I was surprised by. But my first thought as I was reading is, Mom would love this book. So it's over there for me to take into the house and give to Mom and see what she thinks of. And then I'm going to reread it and do I'm just going to mark that book to pieces. And I'm going to have fun while I do it. I'm going to have fun here. So anyway, that is the Christmas Carol book tag. And I had quite a few. They're all over the place. I had quite a few books that I mentioned. I'm surprised. Fortunately, a lot of the ones I found are ones that were near the door back there. And the door is where, some of them were in here. But the door is where I can get to books. So that worked out kind of, I guess, helps if I turn it right side up, huh? Anyway, so yeah, I found some books that fit the tag. But yeah, so I will see you tomorrow with something. It's really hard to put these away right now, though, because I can't get to the bookshelves. I think the week after Christmas, I'm going to go into that back room, and I'm going to haul everything out. Lord, please don't let it rain that week. It rarely rains in December, so I think I'm safe with that. And so I'm going to pull all that stuff out and then clean and put stuff away again. And yeah, I think that's going to be, and then I can start working on my thing to put here. I got something to put there, the little card catalog. I want to share it, and I can't do it because I can't get to it. Hi, how you doing? See you later.